Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Shock and Not Toy Reviews. 2, sometimes 3 idiots, a camera, and a review. I'm Wilson, and to my left is the bearded thunder,
Mr. Berg.
and to my right is the man whose beard is so well groomed that it looks fake.
Topher.
And in this review, we are taking a look at this small toy, because big toys suck, unless it's a Transformer.
This is the Hiya Toys Exquisite Mini Predator 2 Guardian Predator.
This is the box by box. So, 3 3/4. I had seen some of the aliens. Can we just get a brief history? Does anyone know why they've done these guys in this size?
So Hiya Toys started by doing some aliens figures.
Right.
Most notably, they started with the Colonial Marines, and then they started doing alien figures from the much maligned Colonial Marines video game, but had some cool alien designs in that. And I'm not entirely sure if their license is just for the Colonial Marines video game, because some of the things that they have been producing, like power loaders and whatnot, that we would conventionally think of as being more from the movie Aliens, are also in the video game. So I don't know exactly where their license lies, and I guess they've been reasonably successful with that they've started to branch out a little bit, and they just recently got a Predator license, which so far seems to be just Predator 2. But because there was that scene at the end of Predator 2 where there's like, I don't know, like a dozen or so Predators, they're doing, I think, all of those guys. So they're only doing Predator figures so far, and I don't imagine that they'll do any of the human characters from Predator 2. They seem to be taking advantage of that scene from the end so they can make just a whole bunch of different Predators. I don't know how much creative license they've taken with some of the designs of those characters who may be partially hidden, or I don't know what, but there are at least half a dozen, maybe 8 different Predators that are available.
I looked at this guy, and he looks really, really fucking good for this size. I'm going to move him closer. Hiya. All of this metal detail and paint in here is really good. I like his little treads. Actually, they don't get in the way much of anything. I'm kind of scared to move them around. These are molded, his netting, right?
Yeah, the netting is sculpted and painted on.
Yeah.
The sculpt is really nice. As far as I can tell, it's very screen accurate, very true to what you would expect from the character from that movie.
Is the mask correct?
As far as I know, the mask is correct. Again, because he's one of the background guys.
Oh, he's the background guy. He's not the...
He's not the main guy.
Gotcha.
I did not get the main guy. This is just one of the random Predator dudes that I thought looked pretty cool. The paint is very, very good. I actually was really impressed, because you have the sculpted body net. That could very easily turn into a real paint nightmare if the register is off on that even a little bit. But it's really, really nicely done. There's also a lot of dry brushing, airbrushing, lots of little paint details here and there. He's got different colored sort of beads in his alien dreadlocks. The only thing about his paint that I don't really care for, and again, I don't know if it's a feature of the design of the character or if it's the way he's painted here. His bicep here seems really white compared to the rest of him. And yeah, I know that there's some white in there, but I almost feel like maybe someone missed a little bit of an airbrushing or something. But aside from that, he's really nicely painted.
The skin is fantastic. Out of all of it, his skin, I think, looks the best.
And I think when we look at the sculpt and we look at the paint, we have to keep in mind that this is a 4-inch figure.
Yeah.
So you have a much smaller canvas that you're working on, but the paint work on here is just as nice as you would expect to see on a 7-inch Predator figure. I will also point out he retails for $20. He's a fully licensed figure who retails for $20. So you're getting really nice paint for $20. So I think that this is a good deal for the level of quality that's on here.
Berg, how do you any thoughts?
I really like the metal paint.
Okay.
All right. They were smart the way they did the sculpt. So he's got like a common torso. The armor piece that's on his upper torso is actually a separate piece. You can't really tell. It's sculpted really nice. It's a nice thin piece. Has a little bit of a stretch to it, so when it's on him, it looks like it's the same thing. I'm assuming that way they can share sort of the Predator buck with other Predators, do a little bit of mix and match with armor pieces to stretch their tooling dollars a little bit further.
What were you about to say? You said you liked the armor.
I was gonna say I didn't like the paint job of the spots.
Oh, on his skin?
Yes.
What is it about them that you dislike?
I think at this scale they look way too big.
Really?
Yes.
I do see what you're saying, though. I don't think. I mean, for me, it doesn't take anything.
It doesn't take
away from the
anything.
thing.
I just
So sculpt, great. Paint, really nice.
Hiya! Articulation! Let's move him around.
All right, let's run it down.
Hiya!
So his head is on a double ball socket. He's got a ball socket at the base of his skull, and he also has another ball socket at the bottom of his neck. So you get really nice range of motion from his head. He can kind of look down, he can look to the side. The dreadlocks are molded in a really soft plastic, so they don't interfere with any of the poses.
So much better than the NECA stuff.
Yes. His shoulders are what you'd expect. They're on ball hinges, bicep swivels, just a regular hinge in his elbow, swivel wrists that are also on little hinges. His blades are articulated so that they will extend. He does have a ball joint in his middle abdomen. He doesn't have any sort of swivel below that. Pretty good ab movements. Not quite as crunchy as maybe you would want it to be, but again, pretty typical for this size of figure. You have ball sockets on the thighs. You have swivel thighs. You have double hinge knees. And then you have a ball hinge at each ankle. He's not the most stable figure. Of course, now I'm shaking the table and I can't get him to fall over.
There you go.
There we go. One thing I will say about his articulation. When I first got him, a lot of his joints were really stiff. To the point where I think maybe some of them were painted shut. Because these joints are really small and I was really worried about them breaking, the only way I was able to free up all of his joints was basically to heat him up with a hairdryer and disassemble him.
All the way?
All the way.
Fuck that.
In some places, I had to remove some paint from some of the pins that go into some of the joints. So it took a little bit of effort to free his joints. Now, did I overdo it just to be on the safe side? Yes, I did. Yeah. You know, it got to the point where, well, once I had him apart, I went ahead and just made sure everything was perfect.
It could just be this copy.
It could just be this copy. And if anybody else out there has one of these figures, they can let us know whether theirs was painted shut or not.
Do accessories. Hiya!
So his little shoulder cannon here, which in Predator 2 can like slide off of his shoulder and store in his back. So you can slide his cannon all the way down on his back. It turns from side to side and then it moves in this channel so you can slide it up to his shoulder. But here's the problem. Because his torso armor here is a separate piece, and because it has to be molded in a flexible plastic in order to conform nicely to his body, this part here is really flexible, and as a result, the gap that the gun rides in, as you get over the shoulder, it easily widens and the cannon falls out. So that's a little bit of it works better on paper, but once it's actually made of plastic and this flexes out, it kind of falls out a lot. So you can't move it up and down in a satisfying way. So if you don't mind fiddling with it a little bit, you can get it where it needs to be. He can have his shoulder cannon where you want it, and that's fine.
I mean, it's fun to fiddle with it all the time.
To me,
my mom said you could go blind if you fiddle with it too much.
Your mom's right.
Obviously, he comes with a base. The base is a really nice inclusion here, just because he is a little wonky to stand in some poses. It also comes with these two little bracket thingies, I assume, lock into the base, and then you can join the bases to other bases. So if you have a bunch of these guys, you can join them together. So he comes with his staff weapons here, both the collapsed and the extended version. The sculpt and the detail is really nice on it. There's a lot of paint applications. He can hold it really well in his grasping hand. The only thing that he doesn't have is any way to stow the collapsed staff anywhere on his body. He also comes with his smart disc weapon here. It's
tiny.
It is really tiny. It is intended to attach to this part on his belt, but again, because this is sculpted in a soft plastic, the little pegs are too big for those to fit in reliably. A human skull, which is scaled nicely to him. And that's Adam Baldwin right there. And he comes with alternate hands. He has, for his left and right hands, a sort of splayed finger hand.
Typical hand almost every Predator toy comes with.
With a little bit of fiddling, you can get the splayed hand to hold on to the smart disc. Not quite the way that he does in the movie, but a close enough approximation.
Can he throw it?
Sure.
Fucking stupid.
He also has a set of grasping hands. The grasping hands are just the right size for holding on to his weapons. You also get a pair of relaxed hands, which don't really hold anything. What I really would have wanted is a pair of fists, especially for this hand. Because you can't have a fist hand on there, it just kind of, I don't know, it's not quite right. And I'm now realizing I misspoke. The wrists are not on ball hinges, they're on ball sockets. But all in all, you get quite a lot of accessories for $20.
Hiya! Size comparison.
From left to right, we have the Alien Covenant Neomorph, who looks like he's singing opera. We have the 3 3/4 inch Thor Ragnarok Thor from the 2-pack. The Predator. In the back, we have, it looks like the Defiance alien from NECA. And then we have Invisible Woman.
Hiya! Final thoughts.
Who wants to go first?
I'll go first, since
All
I'm
right.
the guy that, I'm not into too many of these tiny toys unless they transient into robots and vehicles.
Transient?
Transient? Is that what I said?
Yeah. What does that word mean?
Don't know. Unless they change into tiny robots.
We know you
All of that
prefer
shit.
larger scale figures.
Yes, I think he's done very well. I really like the skin paint. I agree with you on everything in terms of the soft plastic. I am extremely shocked, disappointed, and upset that you had to take him apart because you were so scared that he would break with the tight joints. That is horrible. That takes him down easily a whole hand. Especially if someone who doesn't have the intelligence and aptitude to do something like that
Patience.
and patience.
You can point over this way.
Yeah, and over there, they're most likely probably going to get a broken Predator, and that's unfortunate. The accessories are cool, the hands are okay. I like the base. It's unfortunate that the base is really needed to make him stand and do cool poses. I could do without a retracted spear. I don't really see the need for it. I do like how if you get more, you can have a whole display of stands connected together. Overall, I believe he's going to get a solid 4. He would get much higher if it wasn't for the paint problems that you had with the joints and also the little gun part here. Personally, for me, I'd put it on the quality of the boss fight guys that you get.
What do you think, Richard?
I'm going to give it a 2.5 because for $3 to $4 more, I can get almost the exact same thing for more than double the size.
And I knew you were going to say that, and I kind of agree with that as well.
It's a great price for what it is.
I will give him a 3.5. I want to be able to have a toy that's ready to play out of the box.
Yeah.
And the fact that he wasn't, the fact that I had to kind of get him ready. Now, once I got him ready, he's great. He's awesome. The shoulder cannon thing is a little disappointing. I feel like if you're going to include a feature, at least make sure the feature works. If you can't get it to work, just don't include that feature. It's not really necessary. It's not like, oh man, that's the most important part of the Predator is that his shoulder cannon retracts. Like, no, just put on a little peg and be done
It's
with it.
also one of the smallest pieces, so it's one of the easiest to lose.
Well, and because it's gonna fall out when you're moving him, like it's not necessary. I really am disappointed that he doesn't have. What are you doing? The lack of clenched fists is a little bit of a bummer to me. The way that those stops in the ankles being in kind of the wrong spot really makes him difficult to stand, and that's kind of frustrating. And really, for a 3 3/4 inch figure, you don't need those notches. You don't need those teeth on the disc. It's a small enough, light enough figure that you're not going to knock it over. So take those off, let it be smooth, and that's a little bit better. I've always wanted a 3 3/4 inch Predator. Now I'm getting one. Predator that I want to have in this scale most is the Jungle Predator from the first Predator movie. And I hope that while they are making all these Predators, that they're going to work out some of the issues so that when they hopefully get around to making that Predator, that he'll be a lot better.
All right, well, I can't believe I was the one that rated this toy the highest, but that is how the cookie crumbles, as Jim Carrey would say. Leave a comment below, give us a thumbs up, give it a thumbs down if you wish. Tell your friends, families, enemies, anybody you want. We appreciate you watching, and we appreciate everybody who leaves comments and talks about us. Please, please, the more you talk and share around the internet, the bigger we can grow and the more content we can hopefully provide. Would you be willing to pay for this shit? My answer is no.
So I like that you sell it as for shit. Would you like to pay for shit?
Until next time, Mr. Berg.
Good night, Mom. I wanted a goddamn chopper and all I got was a predator.